Let the same mind be in you that was in Christ Jesus. Wow. That is high order from Paul, especially on Palm Sunday. Faced with this passion narrative that we just heard, with all that we know Jesus suffered and endured, and more than that, how he responded to those things, I don't know that I could be in the same mind. Could I face police officers and priests and other authorities who were arresting me for no reason and simply let them take me? Could I be beaten, mocked, and taunted without saying anything? Could I listen to these false accusations without once defending myself? I don't think I could. But that begs the question, should I? Should I allow myself to be unjustly treated, mercilessly abused, or even just made fun of without speaking out against the wrong? Should I not stand up for myself like Jesus didn't? Somehow, I don't think that was Jesus' intention. I don't think that was the intended takeaway here. His lack of response only serves to show that no one responded. No one came to his aid or defended him or protected him or fought for him. No one could even stay awake for him. He was totally and utterly alone. And this is made all the more obvious in his refusal to speak for himself. It seems to me that in these moments, what was in Jesus' mind was simply to reveal humanity for exactly who they were. To show what happens when we don't have the courage to stand up against the powerful in defense of the innocent. When our silence makes room for someone else's death. Now, you may be thinking of the disciple who is unnamed in today's passion narrative, the one who cuts off the ear of the other man. He fought for Jesus, didn't he? Perhaps. But he fought the way a human would, with violence and might. Jesus had already told him hours before what to do. Don't sleep, get up, and pray. And before that, Jesus had spent 3 years teaching all people how to go about dealing with this messy life stuff. Don't be goaded by those tricky questions intended to trap you. Respond with God's truth, with what you know about him and his love. Reveal with words their misunderstandings. Be patient. Show kindness, mercy, love. And now, on the day that it matters most, fear of the powerful takes over. Put away your swords, Jesus says. But he doesn't add, get out your words and prayers. They should know. But they don't. The only talk of saving Jesus, aside from Pilate, is that same devil temptation that we heard in the wilderness. When the devil comes to him and says, throw yourself down from this cliff, God's angels will catch you and save you and carry you home. Today we hear, if you are God's son, get down from that cross and save yourself. Well, Paul also talks about this, Jesus' refusal to save himself. He writes that Jesus didn't regard equality with God as something to be exploited. But that word exploited has a different translation that might be better, might help us understand things a little deeper. So the original Greek is harpagmos, and it's not a verb most commonly, but a noun. And it translates as a thing to be grasped or seized, most specifically, booty or loot. This word would have most commonly and often been used in conquests of war, when soldiers were able to take possessions, property, even people as their own, as their booty, something that was rightfully theirs to take in the eyes of the law. So, Paul's use of harpagmos implies that Jesus didn't seize his godliness or his relationship to God as loot, even though he had every right, even though it was his due, his own for the taking. God's love and grace and power and might is not loot. It's not something to be grabbed at in a power play, even though God is always ours to claim. To use God in this way, to use him as a means to subdue someone else, or enact power over them, or gain something, is to fully and completely misuse all that God is, all that Christ is. For Jesus, or anyone else, to consider their relationship with God as harpagmos would put the power on one person, when all that Jesus taught for 3 years was to spread God's love to all by all. So on the cross, Jesus is essentially saying, yeah, I could defend myself, but so could all of you. From that cross, Jesus' silence is not something to be modeled, but a mirror held up to the world to show what we are already complicit in. Where are the people crying for Jesus' life to be spared when everyone else is shouting, "Crucify"? Where are the people speaking reason when false accusations are made, when even Herod and Pilate refuse to indict? Where are the prayers that should be storming the gates of heaven in defense of this innocent man? They may have been there, but if they were, they weren't loud enough, or they weren't many enough to overpower the hate and the fear and the ignorance. That is the real sin here. But we have a chance to correct it, to prevent the crucifixions that happen each and every day to the innocent people and the Christ within them who walk our streets, who suffer at the hands of others. Each time we speak out, when the poor are treated like dirt, when the innocent are killed in the streets, when the powerful are set free from crimes that should have imprisoned them. Each time we are part of making that change, we take Christ down from that cross unharmed. It's up to us. On Palm Sunday, we see clearly what God asks of us. See God as a being who is with you automatically, no matter what, and not as harpagmos, loot to be seized. Speak out and don't be silent when you know that something is wrong or unjust, as Jesus did for everyone else and as no one did for him. Let the same mind be in you that was in Christ Jesus. That is our prayer.